Well, the president's executive order requires the Commerce Department to petition the FCC to review Section 230, a part of a 1996 FCC law that shields internet service providers with legal immunity for content posted by third-party users. But former FCC counsel Bruce Fein tells One America's John Hines that regardless of the president's order, social media giants may have outgrown their protections.
Congress itself, from both Democrats and Republicans, have voiced concern about the existing Section 230, which basically says that of all the media, broadcasters, cablecasters, satellite distributors, newspapers, only those like Twitter or Facebook who purport to have internet computer arrangements whereby they purport to distribute information content provided by others, do they have immunity by being deemed not publishers.
So the broad goal of the president, if he so chooses, to essentially eliminate the protections of Section 230 is perhaps appropriate at this time, but the executive order that he's talking about, or that he's rumored to be planning to sign, is not necessarily actionable.
No, I think maybe it could be useful in simply flagging to Congress. Obviously, when the president does something, it has a visibility and it becomes part of the dialogue and would be an indirect way to get Congress to move on this by showing that there is real concern about the absolute immunity that these companies enjoy when they're being this. They're the whales, not the minnows. The minnows are the ones that need the protection.
What about these allegations that there is shadow banning or some sorts of, censorship, some types of censorship going on some of these social media platforms? Mm-hmm. Is that something which gives standing to someone in some users to then take legal action against these companies?
I don't think so. I think in some sense, there's censorship in all media. Okay, I write a letter to the New York Times. I want them to put in there as a contrasting viewpoint to one of their op-eds. They don't publish it. Listen, I can tell you, I write lots of letters to the editor. Yes, is there censorship? Sure is. I know what's likely to get through, what not. Not with a precision of Euclidean geometry, but generally speaking. Because that's what the media companies do. They have to make decisions concerning content because they can't publish and they don't publish everything. So those are the kinds of decisions, if you look at the biases, and the biases are protected by the First Amendment, just like impartiality. It doesn't tilt one way or the other. In fact, the U.S. Supreme Court went so far in the so-called Alvarez case when they said even a knowing lie, even a candidate for public officer who knowingly lied about having won a military medal for bravery was protected in telling that lie under the Supreme Court's decisions. I'm not denying that the biases and the censorship is there. It's the nature of a marketplace and people being what they are. Yeah, they're going to have biases and prejudices. And the only way you solve that is not having everybody be a Socrates, but you have a marketplace where people can enter and exit and say what they believe and counter it. I say the one element that we haven't really focused on is, well, what if you have a monopoly there that doesn't permit free competition to occur? But that's an antitrust issue. It's not a Section 230 issue.
Is it possible to bring antitrust actions against, say, Facebook?
Oh, absolutely it is. Where in Europe, where the standards for antitrust, they call it market dominance and abuse, is less strict than in the United States, there definitely have been antitrust suits against the Googles, and Google has had to pay lots of money. We have a higher standard to prove monopoly abuse, and it's more difficult, but it's certainly far from impossible.
And so perhaps the president will get more traction going that route, do you think?
I think that if he's looking for legal rather than political movement, that's a far more viable approach than through 230.
Antitrust.
Antitrust.
Bruce Fein, founding partner of Fein and DeValier, thank you very much for joining us on One America News.
Thank you for inviting me.
Want to see more videos like this? Click on the link below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube. And call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call and subscribe today.